Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Preacher. So this week's episode was very, very good. We got kind of a continuation with that old guy. Let's just currently label him as the cowboy because I don't think they've really given him a name. We kind of got a continuation of the story after he returned with the medicine, found out his wife and daughter were dead, returned to the town. I figured what ended up going down, I figured that was what was going to it was going to eventually go to. I was kind of expecting it to happen the last time we saw that series of events. I was like, okay, then we I was like, okay, he's locked and loaded, but it didn't go there. So I was like, okay, maybe he's not. Maybe he's just going to bury his wife and daughter. Yeah, his wife and daughter. And then it's like, nope, he went back. And, that preacher's talking about him. It's like, oh, I know who you are. You're the butcher of Gettysburg. This man killed over 77 people with his hands. Basically saying but all are welcome. Basically being a preacher and just being will you be welcoming you? God, Jesus will accept everyone. You just got to accept him into your heart. Basically, the old man pulls out a gun, basically kills everyone in the freaking bar. Everyone. I don't know if that little kid was included because he was there too, not unless he left at that time or he was in a different place. I don't know. I would assume maybe him too, just because he took everybody down. He even had that guy singing the song this entire time, and it's like, okay, he walks away from him after killing everybody, even killing the guy playing the piano, and the guy's there kind of still singing along, and then all of a sudden you see freaking head sliced off. That entire sequence of events was crazy. And then he's sitting there, the storm was happening. And something I'll share with you is my thought process when I heard the storm was coming, all the bottles are rattling and you hear the horses outside, instantly in the back of my mind, because I don't know much about Preacher. I was instantly thinking, I hear horses. It's like, oh, the four horsemen, not realizing it's like, oh yeah, there's also regular horses out there. But it was just something that popped in my mind real quick. It's like, oh, could that be the four horsemen? It's like, idiot, it's most likely just regular horses. But because I don't know, maybe they exist in this in the world of Preacher. I don't know. They are connected to the apocalypse and everything. They are heaven and hell. They play a big part in all that. So it's kind of okay, maybe they do exist in some shape or form. So I was curious about that. But what I really liked about his story is that nearing the end of the episode, we get a repeat of it. I'm like, wait, what is this about? I don't get it. I was like, wait, all right. I was like, okay, I'm getting it. They're replaying it there's some significant, and I was like, oh, this is hell. And it turned out to be true. It's like, yes, he's being tortured with hell. He basically has to relive that memory over and over again, because hell is basically your punishment. And what's a bigger punishment for him to have to relive the moment, the series of events that led to his wife and daughter dying. So it's kind of that's his personal hell, having them relive it over and over. And every time they relived it, it was just kind of cut around to it, fast forward, cut cut around it. So you did that, and it was very interesting. I think they did a very good job of showing that. But the moment that happened, it repeated itself. I was like, okay, that's weird. I was like, that can't be a mistake. And we see the door open. I was like, that's what this is all about. That's Fior and DeBlanc ain't it? And it's it is them. Turns out they went to hell. We knew they were going to hell. I was thinking okay, maybe they're doing this because they want to, possibly rescue Eugene. Maybe they're trying to do the right thing. But the more they talked about it, it was no, they're not trying to rescue Eugene. I was are they trying to get away from this whole situation? Do they plan on going to hell because they feel it's the furthest place where they're less likely to be found or something? But I'm is hell really the best place for angels to be hiding out? I was maybe there's other places you can hide out. But then that whole thing happened. I was like, oh, you want him. You want someone to kill Jesse. That's what this is all about. And especially, I knew at the moment he was we have a job for you. And he ended up shooting DeBlanc, and he's what? He asked me, what's the job? And before he even said, I was you're going to use the word preacher, aren't you? He's I want you to kill a preacher in the movie. So I was yes, because you knew that would be the key word to make him accept the job. And it was just oh my God, that's so crazy. And it makes you wonder, it seems he's already a pretty tough SOB, and it's makes you wonder, will he come back with supernatural powers, or is he what's his circumstances going to be when he comes back? Because Jesse's got a target on his back now, because the whole point is they don't know how to get Genesis out of him any other way. I mean, I guess they could go to try and slicing him up the chainsaw way, but I guess without the container that doesn't serve any purpose. I don't know. I'm trying to understand maybe killing, I guess maybe if they kill Jesse while Genesis is inside of him, it will die as well. Once, I don't know, that can't be true because when its whole previous people that other preachers it entered exploded, it moved on to the next one. So I don't know, maybe that's its way of drawing him out because it's kind of like, okay, the song doesn't work anymore. So, I guess they feel like the chainsaw route is a little unreliable. So it's like, why not get someone to take care of him because the preacher's a little too much to handle, like for them. They've seen what he can do. I mean, plus the fact of the matter is Genesis powers works on them, which makes you wonder, the fact is that you're getting him, does that mean Genesis powers might not work on him? Or is it because he's very well versed in guns, he can handle Jesse because he can take Jesse out from a distance without having to worry about Genesis power activating him, affecting him? I don't know, and I'm super excited to find out like what really goes down. And speaking of Fior de Blanc, I got to mention some things. For one, you were talking about, okay, we tell heaven what's going down, what went down with the whole, like, try to apologize. It's like, they'll separate us forever. Now, also want to note the fact is that de Blanc referred to Fior as dear. Now, I don't know how to interpret that. The moment he said dear, I was like, are you two a couple? Because at first I was like, okay, you get separated. I don't really, it's like, not unless you're super tight friends, which, I mean, that could be the case. But I was like, the moment he said dear, I was like, are you two a couple? Is that what this is all about? That's kind of interesting. Like, because they don't act like a couple. They act like co-workers. They didn't act like but I mean, maybe that's kind of the point, to just kind of like, yeah, make it seem like they're like, maybe they're not the very like overly affectionate type. They really, I don't know, not unless they're family. That's another possibility. But to me, dear, like, I guess it's just me because dear always sounds like a term of like you use it for someone you care about, Like, I don't know, other people, people can, use it for family, but to me, it's just like, dear is such a, like, hey, like, darling type of word. Be kind of interesting if they were a couple. But also, we ended up finding out, like, transportation to hell. Like, that was kind of interesting. There's literally a, like, looks like an actual bus ride to hell. You have to go actually, essentially buy a ride to hell. They had to set the whole thing up, and basically she was like, okay, choose an occupation, and they were like, de Blanc was like serial killer, and Fior was like architect. So that was kind of interesting. I guess, because it's like, okay, if you know what your occupation is, that proves that you're supposed to be in hell. Because it seemed like you wouldn't be able to just slip into hell being an angel. It feels like someone would be able to tell what you are. Because we know there are demons in this series, but it's like we've yet to see any. We've only seen angels, so I'm guessing she's not a demon, because I feel like if she was a demon, they wouldn't be like cooperating with her. Because the fact of the matter is, she talked about reporting them, and they're like, go ahead and report us, we'll report you. So she's definitely an angel too. Obviously, she's kind of doing some shady stuff here on Earth too, because she's probably doing an illegal business, because she probably doesn't have permission from up top to do what she's doing. So kind of same thing for them. So that's why it's kind of a mutually assured destruction. You tell on us, we'll tell on you. So we get in trouble, so will you. So that's kind of very interesting. And they ended up losing the phone. I like that in itself. It's kind of like, okay, Jesse, like the moment the phone went missing, I was like, Jesse took it. I mean, because he's still got this whole harebrained scheme to bring God forward to them, and he's like, okay, the only way we can do that is by using the phone. But I did like the fact is that they were trying to decide what to do. It's like, okay, we can go back to heaven and explain everything, or we can go to hell. I'd rather not go to hell. And then basically de Blanc was like, let's flip a coin for it. The first time they got hell, and everyone's just like, oh crap, double or nothing. Did it again, got heaven. They were super excited, but because the phone was missing, there's no way to contact heaven. And I guess the only way, well, no, because the whole plan was to contact heaven and tell them the whole situation, kind of beg for forgiveness. But I guess, now that the phone was going, it's like it kind of removed that possibility, because it's like, now we don't know how to contact heaven. The only way around this situation now is to deal with Jesse. So be very interested to see where everything goes down that route. And so much other stuff. Oh my goodness. Emily was brought over by Tulip. Tulip explained, yes, Cassidy is a vampire. Are you okay with it? You better get good with it now. Basically feeding him the animals, like I speculated, as you can pretty much obviously knew. But the fact is, Emily actually sees Cassidy, like his skin's all burned off. You just basically see the flesh underneath his skin, and it's just like horrifying. And then which to me was the big like, whoa moment of the episode. Beside the whole like cowboy dude thing in hell, that was pretty whoa. But this one was just kind of like, oh my god, the whole Emily situation with the mayor, basically feeding him to Cassidy. Now the moment she called him up and just was saying like, oh my god, he got out. I was like, for a second, I was like, oh my god, did Cassidy get out? Oh crap, and then I was like, no, she couldn't be. The moment he came to the house, no one was. I was like, oh god, she set you up, and she did. Even though she spent that whole time trying to tell Tool, oh yeah, me and him, we're dating. Yeah, I'm dating the mayor. It's like you don't care for the mayor. It's like you sleep together, but that's just out of convenience. It seems like she still has her heart set on Jesse. At the very least, it's not set on the mayor. So she was willing to let him be sacrificed. It makes you wonder why. I guess because out of anyone, it's kind of like, well, he's annoying. Maybe that's why she was just kind of like, he was a little pushy. He wants to be. He's always been wanting to be with me, and he's just annoying. I don't know. Like, maybe she legitimately was caring about Cassidy. Maybe she talked to Cassidy and saw the pain he was in, and she just wanted to help him. You know, maybe, I don't know. But that was just, to me, just like, I can't believe she just did that. And then we have Cassidy and Jesse finally like buddying up again. And that was a really nice scene between them. It's just being like, Jesse basically being like, you know, I'm sorry that I didn't, you know, for me not accepting you for what you were, like, you know. And, you know, he even apologized because he's like, you saw me at my worst. He's like, you know how to fight. You're a preacher. You got the girls. Like, what do you have to be sorry about? Jesse's like, I have a lot to be sorry about. You know, everything that he's done recently since getting Genesis, but, you know, a lot of the bad stuff he's done in his past, too. And then I did like the fact that they made up. It's just like, they're like, I don't know. It's really nice to see that they're on each other's side again. It's like, we're buddying up. We got each other's back in this whole situation. Because Jesse was like, you know, what would you do if you found out I killed the mayor? He was like, help you get rid of the body. He's like, well, let's do it. And they got rid of the mayor's body. It was just like, yeah, the dynamic duo is back together again. It's like, yeah, you know, now they know everything about each other. It makes you wonder, will he start asking more questions about Cassidy's past, because like we're still in the dark about it. We know there are people hunting him, which they haven't come after him yet, but most likely because they don't know where he is. But I feel like there's going to be a certain set of events that's going, I don't know what, but something's going to unfold, and I feel like their town is going to become a cesspool for the supernatural. I feel like everything from angels to demons to monsters to people hunting monsters are going to find their way to the town. Like it's going to turn into something, and it's going to draw a lot of people in. Maybe that thing will be what Jesse's planning on doing, drawing God to earth. Maybe that's going to draw everyone in. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. I'm very curious to see what Emily's going to do now after doing what she did, knowing what Cassidy is and what he did to Miles. It's very interesting. Especially considering we got Odin returning to church on Sunday. Basically, he's looking forward to it because it's like, it's going to be the moment Jesse denounces God and prove that basically religion is a farce that believing in God is a farce and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see, will Jesse actually be able to bring God here to earth to, you know, bring him forth to answer the questions? Because that's kind of a thing too. Like, if Jesse is able to do it, would he be able to get the answers he wants with Genesis or not? Can Genesis work on God? That makes you wonder, because it's like, it works on angels. So, because from the very beginning, I've always had the understanding that this thing works on everybody. Like, it never crossed my mind to be like, yeah, I mean, the fact is that it's shown that it works on DeBlanc and Fior makes you think like no one is safe from this power. I mean, we've seen the fact of what it did to Eugene, sucking him into hell. It's like, you see just how powerful this thing is. Whatever Jesse says, using it, it makes it a reality. And it's just like, I don't know. Maybe that's what he's going to end up doing, is using the phone and basically using Genesis to draw God in. I mean, maybe that's going to be how Heaven fully finds out about Genesis. Well, Heaven might already know, because I almost forgot. Like, the sheriff killed that angel lady, you know, because the way they kept her around was basically they cut off her arms and legs, but I guess they kept her from bleeding out because they were probably cauterized her wounds, or at least tied them all so she wouldn't bleed out. They probably stopped the bleeding, but it was enough to keep her alive so she couldn't reconstitute. But, the sheriff strangled her because he thought he was doing the right thing, and she ended up coming back. Granted, I was hoping that he would see her just because I wanted that to kind of turn into a thing. But sadly, she walked away and he just had no idea. So he just thinks he killed a woman and, saved her from some suffering. It makes you wonder, how's he going to react when he runs into her again? But the fact of the matter is that she's up and about. Maybe she's already reported to heaven about the whole Genesis situation. Does she even have a phone? Is that something all angels carry around, or is that just something like Fiora and DeBlanc stole before they left heaven? Makes you wonder, how does that whole thing work? Because for them to call it to heaven, and rather than just going back to heaven, maybe it's not that easy. It seems like a trip to hell seems like it's easier than a trip to heaven. I don't know. Because I feel like if you can't contact heaven, why don't you just go there? But it must be a lengthy process to get there. Whereas hell is a little difficult, but I guess easier. That's just overall so many questions. I'm super excited to see where everything goes from here. And by the end of the episode, we saw that Cassidy was, pretty much back to the way he was before. He is still a little crispy on some parts, but, I'm just so glad that just those two are back together again on each other's side. Can't wait to see what kind of trouble they get into next episode. Just so good. Especially considering we had the sheriff. He thinks that Jesse killed his son. I mean, that's the whole point of arresting him at the end of the episode. Granted, Jesse was able to get away, but it's like he was talking about it because Jesse kept saying, "I sent your son to hell," and he's like, "You're a child." Basically, you know what happens to child killers in jail? Basically, they get people in prison hating them so much that he even talks about one particular prisoner that kept jumping off the top of his the top bed in his cell, kept trying to kill himself until he finally did, and because of that, the warden at the prison had to remove all top bunks, basically. So I'll be kind of interested to see where things go on that route, dealing with what he did to the lady in the bathtub, the angel lady, finding, not knowing what he did. He thinks he just ended a lady suffering, but the fact is he still killed someone. Plus, what's he going to do with the whole Jesse situation? Because Jesse even said, "See you at church on Sunday." So, he's going to show up there too. Probably going to be backed up by other cops. Which, are there other cops? Because he's the only one we've seen so far, isn't he? I don't think we've ever seen any other cops other than this sheriff. Maybe we haven't, I'm just not remembering that right. I don't know. Just a fabulous episode. I just cannot wait to see more. It's always the worst feeling when the episode ends because it's like I have to wait an other week for more. It's so good. Hands down, this is easily becoming my favorite show right now. It's so good. And I am just eagerly awaiting the next episode. I'm up here talking about all this. I'm about to wrap up the episode when I completely forgot about Tulip. Tulip finally caught up with Carlos. Now, Jesse left her that whole voicemail that was very sweet and everything, which to me is like, okay, what... it seems like obviously he still has feelings for Tulip. He's finally apologizing for apologizing for being an asshole, essentially. Basically saying there's only you now. She was smiling when she was with Carlos. Now, I don't know whether that's because she heard the message or was she just smiling because she's like, yeah, it just happened. They lined it up to make you think that. But it's like, nope, she's there in front of Carlos. Looks like she's got a little blood on her lips, so it looks like he didn't go down easy. But she's got him strapped to the chair. Got one of those hammers. I don't know what they are called. It's basically the ones you use to pound meat. You use it to tenderize meat. She's got one of those. And so that was all we really saw in this episode. So she's probably going to torture him. I can only assume he stole money from her. There's certain storylines we still haven't gotten back to. There's that whole thing. There was the whole map that Tulip stole. I'd almost completely forgot about that too just now. There's that whole map thing that she stole that she gave to Danny, who gave to the man in a white suit. We haven't come back to that yet, but maybe that's something that's going to reappear soon. I don't know. I'm very interested. I'm kind of hoping that she did hear Jesse's message, and I don't know, because I'm still kind of curious, like, which way is he going to go? It's like, obvious Emily still has a thing for him, but it seems like maybe he's leaning more towards Tulip, because Jesse's oblivious and doesn't realize how Emily feels about him, but it's just, I don't know, just really, really good episode. Very interested to see where people, like, in the town are going to stand on this, because when he was talking to that couple, it's like, yeah, half the town thinks you're crazy. Because everything that went down, plus the combination of that, plus what he said about like he was going to bring God before them on church on Sunday. So, but this time I'm completely done. Like I said, really good episode. Can't wait to see more. But that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.